Right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Stalking Shadows with myself, Wayne Dell, and I've got two guests with me. I've never done this before, guys, so bear with us. This is going to be an interesting conversation for those who are here in South Africa and for all my buddies abroad that want to find out about the South African hunting industry from the South Africans' perspective, because things have changed over the years. I myself am an outfitter, a freelance guide, and I deal a lot with American clients. And on the show, we've got my brother Ryan, who's an avid hunter himself, and his brother-in-law Warren, who's also an avid hunter, and they are going to share some stories and some tips on how they keep their hunting season full and how things have changed where it's got so expensive and it's become a lucrative business and the landowners have got expensive. We're going to dive into that, and they're going to explain how they get to keep money in their pocket so they can have the pleasure and what's the best way of putting it? Keep this hobby going. Or in South Africa, it's a South African culture where hunting is part of every day. So let's crack into it. Ryan, you can introduce yourself, explain to everyone who you are, what do you, we're twins. You can go and tell everyone about that. And then once you've done your introduction, we'll get Warren to introduce himself and tell everyone where you started hunting, what are your background, and just a little bit about what you do now.
No, well, Shockwood, thanks for inviting us on. I suppose you told the story from the beginning. Avid hunter, started when we were probably getting into it probably when we were about 9 years old, I suppose. And then, obviously dad had the hunting dogs that we used to do our hunting with bush pigs. And then, wherever we could get our hands on shooting a kudu or springbuck or whatever, we kind of got invited where we could go. And then, that's how it went, I suppose, and it's been like that ever since.
That's true. And now, Buddy, your story might be a little bit different to where you started hunting. Explain to everyone what parts of the area you hunted and what age you started at, because, we're all looking a little silver, you more than most.
Thanks, Wayne, for inviting. Yeah. And, a little bit off on that one. You're going to get there too, don't worry. Well, my name's Warren Marlow. I'm part and parcel of this family that you see on the show here this evening. But back in the day, started hunting with my stepfather. Also around the ages of probably about 12, 13 years old. More on the car than anything else. The Great Car River, the other side, areas, bushback, darker, bushmeat hunting, all dog hunting. So that's basically the nitty-gritties of it. And then from there on in, it's just the love of the hunting just became a passion, and it is where we are now today.
No, lekker, but and like most people, don't realize, they think the South Africans get to do everything that the Americans do, and that's not true, because when the American comes out, he gets the pick of the hunting areas, he pays top dollar, and over the years it has affected the South African market. Areas have become, more scarce to find farmers that are still, willing to allow you to come and hunt. And let the guys know a little bit about your bushbuck hunting, Warren, with the dogs and stuff like that, where you guys, hunted. As you said, you hunted on the car, was it, your pack of dogs, and then how you guys went from, okay, no more dogs, because I know you don't have any dogs now. Obviously there was cost involved in keeping those dogs running, and because it's seasonal, it's very short time of the year, but a more of expense throughout the year. Answer and explain to the guys, where all of a sudden you think the scale tipped, where the South Africans had to go and pay big money for game like the internationals.
Well, to put it in perspective, many years ago, the Americans weren't, or the overseas clients weren't in abundance like they are now. and you could still hunt a lot of your friends' farms, a lot of families' farms. And to put it this way, if you had a good pack of dogs, you can bet your bottom dollar that you were invited on that hunt because word travels. Yeah, and then over the years, when we moved away from the car and all that, we still had a pack of dogs. Then my stepfather passed away, and I actually took his pack of dogs over. I would say it was a pack of 12 dogs that I had. Yeah, I mean, he had a special mix for his food and all that sort of stuff. But over the years, and as we get into it, it became more and more expensive. So there was a lot of dogs that sold off and got lost, and they started to get less and less. But why are you doing this bushback hunting too? And I don't want to put it in a better perspective here. You got a group of guys, say 8, 9, 10 guys on a hunt, and you got probably about 2 guys or 3 guys out of those 10 that have actually got the pack of dogs between themselves, Come the end of the hunt, everybody has a plan and everything, and it comes time to pack up and leave. And who the guys that still left there waiting for their dogs to come back? The dog owners. Everybody's now on their route home, and you spend nights in the bush. You don't come home. Those dogs are important. So and you learn to love those dogs, and you get to know them individually. And unfortunately, you had some stickers and all that sort of stuff. So lots of nights spent in the bush. I'm sure all of us can put fame to that. And then some us, because you're 10 guns and everything, doesn't mean you're shooting 10 bushbuck or 10 darkers, and each guy goes home with his own animal. There you share the meat out, and I don't know why it was me most of the times that I end up getting the shot side of the buck, and I got to sift through and you get a piece. I mean, it becomes tough, and at the end of the day, you the oak that's paying for those dogs. It's maybe not vet bills, but it's medicines and that. And back in the days, because you were grown up on the farm and all that sort of stuff with cattle and sheep and all that sort of stuff, you learn how to inoculate them, how to use an injection, how to sew things up, and all that sort of jazz. So yes, and back in the day, the medicine was readily available for you. You could just ask your child that's got a vet guy that comes out and it just prescribes it for you, and you get the medicine. Nowadays, they've taken that off the shelf now. The likes of penicillin, cortisone, all that sort of stuff. We all know that. You can't get it without a vet wanting. You got to visit the vet. So eventually, as my pack got less and less and less, I had a couple of family members trying to persuade me, no, the dog hunting's not the way to go anymore. You just pay for your hunt, and you go out there and you shoot yourself a kudu, you come back with the whole thing, But
I've been meaning back in the year that day.
Yes, that day I was sharing some photos with yourself. You can't believe it's like 7 or 8 years ago. But anyway,
You must stop counting. It's about 13 by now.
Yeah. So you pay for that animal, but you're taking that whole animal home for yourself. Whether you got to sift through the shit that you put into it, you got to do that. But I mean, you at least getting your meat at the end of the day. Back then, the animals were sort of, you could just scrape the pennies together that you could actually afford to keep your animal, and so on and so forth. But between then and now, and I don't want to put this, I don't want to put it bluntly, but seeing that now that the overseas clients have sort of come into the picture, prices have skyrocketed. There's just, if you're an everyday layman, you're going to battle to afford to go on a paid hunt, put it that way.
However, that seems like it's it's on everyone's front now. Like me being an outfitter, the prices have skyrocketed, and Ron and I've chatted about this often, and just purchasing game from the game capturers to even stock ranches now, and even starter with 5-10, the money that they're asking for captured game is just as much as what, in my opinion, most South Africans are willing to pay to hunt the animal. So it's starting to really make a dampener in something that people used to go out and do as, like I say, as a hobby, as a family gathering, a bunch of mates doing it. It was enjoyable. Now you really got to make sure that you save up at the beginning of season. And I want to go on to Ryan now, because I think you and I both know, Buddy, Ryan's a smuggler, and he's a Jew by trade, and he doesn't really know it. And he works out his finances for his hunting season from the season before. So he knows exactly how many kudus he's hunting that season. And he can explain to the guys, like, I know I've helped him in part of the hunting where he's done his stuff, but he's got a very interesting story where he went to go and hunt at Mr. Brown's place and only had enough money for one animal, and how he accumulated that for the season. And I know what we were shooting at the end of the season, where he was actually funding me to go shoot. So I think Ryan can take us on to his story about, how he thinks the industry has changed. And then we'll get further along the line and diving deep into this.
Yeah, so, like you say, industries have changed. I mean, everything evolves and everything moves on. But yeah, like you said, it was once upon a time you're getting invited by family and friends. Game didn't really have a value back then. So you would share it out amongst whoever was there, like Warren said, with the dogs and stuff. I mean, we used to do all the bush pig hunting. The farmers would allow us to come for free, and whatever we shot, we went home with. That was to pay towards the dogs, pay towards the ammo that was used for the weekends, and obviously things like that. So, and at the same time, we did vermin control. So, yeah, that's where obviously with us, with the hounds and the bush pigs at the time, that was, where we had our fun every weekend. It got to that point when we were probably about 16 years old, 15, 16, it was one of our go-to sports. So yeah, and then getting into obviously hunting, and when games started becoming a bit of a value thing, I'm guessing probably from around 2003, 2004. I suppose when we were finishing up school, it was like, we want to do some more hunting and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden we're priceless. It didn't matter if you did a trade or something, because I used to also do that prior. I'd do other work, and I'd fix saddles and bridles for people, for farmers, for their stockmen. And in lieu of payment, I would get an impala or a springback or something like that. So eventually it was, it's we're getting paid for those animals now, and we still keep the meat. Now, obviously, farmers are turning us South Africans away. And then, obviously, there's the South African, the farmers that decided that they're not interested in, obviously, looking or doing the outfitting side of it. And with our seasons basically being 2 to 3 months of the year, they cotton onto, obviously, the South African market. And I suppose every South African wants its piece of biltong and their venison steak and a potjie, whatever the case may be. And yeah, so it turned into like boys' weekends, hunting weekends, and like I was saying, getting to hunt. I mean, I got invited by one of my other brother-in-laws back in the year that must have been also around about 2010, somewhere around there, 2011. It was like one of my first actual invites where I had to pay for accommodation and take my food with, and obviously pay for the animals. And I always had this thing. I started with like a small little kitty, and was able to shoot 1 or 2 animals. And then I actually started selling biltong and baking trout sausage. And yeah, then it was sell that also, and you can get your money back and be able to book your next time. So yeah, I suppose getting into that, that's how I just started rolling everything. And I suppose, Wayne, you can add to it or what you want me to say. But yeah, like I said, that was one of the things I started the hunting. It became better, like in the sense of, you go on these hunts, and it's a long day in the bush and whatever, and you do these one day trips, and there's no guarantee in getting your animals. Where if you spend the weekend, you stand more chance of going home with something. And like I said, the cost of everything is just getting more and more. And obviously the value of the animal is even getting higher. People are wanting a lot more for what they've got.
No, that's very true. And like we all know, obviously going to go hunt with the three of us went and did an awesome springbuck hunt in the Karoo. And that was a buddy of ours from school, old Nick. And that was, to me, probably one of the cheapest hunts we've done in a long time. Going out there, we were at a day fee to pay. There was so much a springbuck. It was quite basic if you look at the way things are going. But if you just look on social media now and Facebook, where do we all look for hunts? I know I saw you commenting on a Facebook post now the other day, send me your price list. I saw David commenting about a zebra stallion now on Facebook. Trophy zebra. What's the difference between the female and the male bloody zebra now? And the oaks are commenting, counting stripes and this and that, and it's you paying for the horns. It's kind of getting a little bit ridiculous for the South Africans, because now all of a sudden it's, when we get price lists, it's trophy prices, cull prices. You've got anything that's ranging between this horn length and this horn length is a different price. When you go over that horn length, it's another bloody price. Then you've got a price on, now I've seen a lot is the guys charge for missed shots. We don't do that for our Americans. Where the mood does that come from? Then they charge you double if you shoot the thing 4 fingers behind the ear or in the head. So they don't want neck shots, so you'll get charged double. The other thing that I've seen on Facebook and on adverts of, obviously you're paying for cool room facilities now, where you used to hunt and just put it in the cool room. Now they're charging you for cool room facilities. They're charging you for the boy to skin your animal and clean and tidy up. In the beginning, I'm like, no, you guys, you talk about James's place. I went with Ryan. I went with you to hunt at James. That was like one of my first paid hunts, and you paid for me to go with. And, that was still simple, because you paid there was a staff fee, there was a house fee, and then you paid for your animals that you shot. Now it's kind of getting a bit ridiculous. I don't know, Warren, maybe you want to chime in on this, where, trying to book hunts. You've got a great connection where you hunt, which still seems a bit more old school. I don't know if you want to tell the guys about that, but you don't have to. We don't have to give away any hunting secrets here, guys. We know how the South Africans are, and the chaps have got their little posies and they don't want to give up too much. But yeah, you chime in here, Warren, and let us know what you think on the prices and how, farmers are going about charging.
Yeah, well, Wayne, like you say, the hunt that I've got there, it's a very good friend of mine. I've grown to know him over a good couple of years. And he comes down to his London, and then we take him deep sea fishing, and he loves that. He camps. He's just stay down to earth guy, and in the time that we've been there, I've just actually looked at his prices just prior to when I was sending you those photographs. Those price lists, I took photographs of them over the years, and I watched what he does there. And I promise you now, he, in all the years, Ron, and you can bear witness to this, that he really, really hasn't pushed his prices up that much. With the foul, with the minimum labor rate nowadays, and all that, he's pretty much, I would say, fair, and he's only got 3 or 4 groups of guys that go there. He spoke to me now just before we got onto the podcast, and he says there's guys that have been finding him trying to get in there, and he just told them straight, guys, until my regulars are not my regular, then there's no fitting anybody in. So I mean, there you go. I mean that's a loyal friend, a loyal farmer to his clients, put it that way. And I don't have a bad fact to say about him, but when you come through and you talk about the guys that don't want to talk about their hunts and all that, it's It's the truth, because us as South African hunters, we're screaming for hunts. I promise you, because of the pricing structure and where it's gone to find a decent hunt nowadays and affordable hunt to say is very difficult. So yeah, you got to hold on to what you've got.
I think we all need to find that bugger who decided that one farmer way back in the day who was taking international clients and all of a sudden decided to say that the bloody meat stayed behind. I think we all need to find him and throttle him, because that's created a more of a issue, in my opinion, for the South African market. Because as an outfitter, guys, I pay premium rates for quality animals. So I don't mind paying the premium trophy rate, but at the end of the day, also, I don't get the meat. And now the biggest thing with farmers and stuff, long ago, the farmer was quite happy to get his bucks and stick it in his slipper or in his mattress or hide it from his wife or whatever, the tax man. And nowadays, they turn it into a business. Ron and I both know. We hunted in Kimberley in the Northern Cape. Everything had a VAT price on it. I think Ron paid the most amount of money for a bloody warthog there way back I think it was 28 Rand 50. I think we paid a kilo for warthog. Where the moor did you pay that for warthog? But it's become a business. So the guys are putting it. Yeah, so guys are putting it through their books now, and they're charging VAT. I get charged VAT for every animal that I buy for clients, and that, you'll be amazed how much the VAT changes the price. And our international guys don't really know that we pay 15% above what that price. They go buy in the shops, and on the shelf it's $10, but at the till they pay $10 plus their 6% or 8%, depending on what state they're in. Where ours, that value-added tax is put on at 15%. That's what you buy on the shelf. So when they go pay at the till, it's $10. It's $10. They're expecting to pay 6% on top of it, but they don't realize they've been charged 15% on top of that already. You know what I mean? That's within their 15%. And that's where it's going with the game. And I think that's what's also ramped it up. The farmers know how to make money now, because the internationals pay for the animal. They leave the meat behind. What does the farmer do? He goes and sells it. So he's making double on what that animal. And if you actually put the amount together, there's no South African that'll ever be willing to pay that amount of money for a kudu, for example, for the carcass and for the trophy. There's no ways. Me personally, I bloody wouldn't. And the thing is, there are a few farmers out there, and that's the sad part. The pool is getting smaller and smaller and smaller to allow South Africans. So you in with your buddy, and that's kind of he's still old school. He enjoys the weekends, the boys coming out, and it's also a Kuier weekend for him. For the international oaks that are listening to this, Kuier is a party weekend, and so he's kept it because it's pleasurable. He's still doing it for the pleasure of it. He's not doing it to get rich. And I think that's where the coin gets flipped, where it becomes a business now, and now it's getting more out expensive. Ryan, I'm going to jump onto you now. You and I ran South Africans. You were the head of it and did South African hunts. You can obviously tell the guys, the difficulties and of trying to deal with farmers to get fair rates to try and make a hunt. And you can explain to the guys how you ran it. Did you make money? Didn't you make money? What was the idea around why you took on South Africans? And you can let the guys know we all hunted, at Lawton's place, Kieverston, and you ran the hunting there for a good few years.
Yeah, so look, I mean, the animals, I'm always for the animals have to have some kind of value, and I also remember somebody that told me years ago, he said, if you're willing to pay for a lamb from the butcher shop or a piece of beef or whatever, the value of the game that you should technically run in hand with that animal. So say but talk about lambs or whatever the case may be, or mutton. If you go and shoot an impala or springback, the price should be close to that. So obviously game originally was cheaper. And then getting into like hunting the South Africans, obviously, you being the PH and the outfitter and doing all of that kind of hunting, I always said maybe I've got a soft spot because I enjoy the hunting, and I always was looking for places for more my family and friends to actually enjoy with them, and so let's say probably it was 2014, I obviously got called Lawton and said, listen, what are you doing with your animals on your farm? At that stage, he had the odd outfitters coming up to him for day trips to shoot specific animals. And then we were culling out the animals towards the end of the season or through the season. We were shooting out a huge number of kudus or whatever that they had available, because obviously it was money. And obviously needing to fill out a game for obviously stock purposes. So I obviously said to him, I said, well, let me have a look at it and see what we can do. We do a small day rate, you keep it. I didn't do it for the money. I did it more to be able to shoot animals for myself and have a surplus of game, because, like I said, I was selling biltong and dried sausage at the time. And then I turned it into like a health thing. I started selling a lot more venison, to customers that were looking, I did sell to abattoirs and butcher shops to get my money back if I needed to, because obviously at the time, through season, the price drops. Out of season, the price is more expensive. So I started stockpiling. So, so that getting into the hunting with the South Africans there, it was, trying to find nice places to hunt close to home. The quality of game was good. We didn't by any means shoot trophies. It was all cull animals. And I did it as a bit of a project thing for Lawton, going, well, let's shoot half the number of animals that you take out in a season. Let's get your quality of your animals out, because obviously over the years of them coming in and just gunning out animals, the quality of the animals went to nothing. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000 hectares of land, and a kudu bull originally weighed like 150 kilos, and then when you're shooting bulls and you're saying they're bigger than 100 kgs, and so I was there for about 4 years doing that, bringing the South Africans in. Look, I mean, that's not easy on its own. We talk about South African hunters. I suppose you get it in anything. You've got the gunslingers, you've got the hillbillies, and you've got the parade that don't golf track. And my biggest challenge, and I think that's where PHs professional hunters prefer hunting foreigners, is that South Africa knows everything. They know all the game, they know what they're doing, and they hunt it. So a South African don't want to listen to a South African, but it's, you're doing it, and you send them in a direction, and you tell them this is your area to hunt. So there are challenging times we have had where guys in the wrong areas and they're in other people's areas hunting. I at the time I had really good trackers. I had 4 guys that I used to take with me, and I used to hunt about 6 guys at a time, and then I'd pair them up 2 by 2 and send my trackers with. And I mean, I can tell you some hairy stories of guys wounding animals and trying to bribe my trackers, because at the end of the day, blood is paid for. Bodily fluid is paid for. We would do our utmost. So I can say we've had some like hairy things in the past. I've had guys that, your farmer dictates how he wants to get paid. And when I was there, it was cash only. There was no electronic transfers at the time. There was, and that was for me to also go away from, paying that. And, you get guys that come, they shoot like 5, 6 kudus, and you go and you load up on Sunday, and guys say, no, sorry, we'll EFT you and we get you down. And I'm like, no, guys, you know the rules. It's cash before you leave. Drive to town, get draw your cash and come back. And amazing, a couple of those, I said, that money in here, and they didn't even leave the fall. So, see, I can understand where the farmers come from, where they don't want to deal with South Africans. Here's a tricky one, but you do have it's that smaller percentage, like you say with anything. There's a small percentage. There's one fat apple in the bag, and it spoils it for everybody. And so like I say, that it was good fun. We had some good hunting there, and I found that just taking that over for 2-3 years, the quality of those animals to this day. I mean, I stopped hunting there in 2015 because just got busy with family and doing the South African hunters and stuff like that. I kind of stepped back from it, and I went back a year ago, and we shot some really nice kudos, myself and Warren and the pigs there. And I mean, when we knew weighing kudos that we used to shoot there that weighed like 100 kilos, they like 120, 130, so what we did there obviously helped, and also just helped launch, and also weed out, the gunslingers, and not have, just shooting 40, 50 kudos off his farm when he only needed to take off like 10, so I think that made a big difference. And then obviously with the foreigners too coming in, that also helps because they shoot those and he gets the extra money, and he doesn't have the people staying in his house or having to create accommodation for them. So yeah, you can see where obviously farmers also have taken it well. They prefer to have less hassles, less dealings, less having to have staff help with stuff. And I suppose when I was running it, I had my own staff, I had my own team, had my own trainers because there were no pool room facilities. I set up everything. I was the first one there and I was the last one to leave. And on average, I'd get home at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and it was all good, but it was for the fun of it and the pleasure. It wasn't for the money.
Yeah, I remember some of those crazy stories at Kieverston and some of the interesting characters that came out of the woodwork there that came and hunted. Yeah, I'll never forget those oaks that said no, they'll EFT when they got home, and when you, and I think was like the thing was you were ahead of the hunting, so you had to go and tell that hey, pay or get in your vehicle and go and fetch your money from town, and then come and pay, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, all the money ended up on the table in 20 minutes, and they paid and they left. And those are guys that are just trying to scam us there. And yeah, what other crazy stories that came out of that place? Like you said, the guys wanting to pay the trackers off to keep quiet and hush hush, and you ran a hell of a tight ship there, and it did show Lawton how to deal. Obviously, you did him a big favor by weeding out all the crappy clients, and eventually it got to the regulars. And then by the time you pulled out there, the regulars kept going back, and it was easy for Lawton to transition to run it himself. So yeah, that is an interesting one. And like you say, Lawton's still making money with internationals, and I chatted about it with Nick Davenport from Roycal, where we hunted at the Karoo. He's still doing internationals or outfitters coming into hunt. He doesn't do his own, and he's doing the South African. So his trophies get shot by the outfitters, his selected number of the season. Same as Lawton, it's so many trophies. And then the South Africans, there are a few South Africans in the bunch that are willing to pay the trophy price on the kudu. So his trophies are for his internationals, but the rest of your meat bulls, warthogs and all that stuff is, South African guys are smoking for him. So he's making good money on both ends of the stick there. So yeah, Warren, what else can you add in on while we're busy with the prices and stuff like that? Let's go into what do you think's fair as a South African to pay. We all know the farmers want the most amount of money. Let's throw out some numbers here and let's see, what everyone's idea of on price.
Yes, that's
Yeah, just a quick one on what Ryan was saying just now. Well, little to say those characters are not allowed back in the farm, but that's why I was giving you a little bit of opinion. But that is well done on your part. But getting back to the prices, I think the way these guys are structuring their price lists right in the beginning, like you said, it's a price for cold room, it's a price for accommodation, it's a price for berry skinning, it's a price for vehicle hire, it's a price for rifle hire. If they could just say that's the price of your animals, there's the price for your accommodation, and in your accommodation or whatever you want to put it as, file those fine little neat details or add it in there. So you'll have a lump sum obviously for your accommodation / PH fees or whatever it may be, but all those little pieces are hidden in there. I think that big list actually frightens a lot of people. Yeah, I think that could be hidden a little bit. Not even hiding what your price is actually, but to deal with all these little bits, it's
Yeah, so
it's confusing at the
yeah,
end of
so
the day, and you know,
no,
yeah, that's my
exactly.
opinion
There.
on
So
it.
you wanting, so better off if the farmer goes, chaps, it's $500 per person, and this is what you get for it. Instead of going, it's 100 rand for this, 200 rand for this, 300 rand for this, and then you get down the list and it's like 25 different things that they've. Where it could be simple. It's like, chaps, it costs you $1,000 for the weekend, you know. Um, and that covers the boys. It covers this. It covers this. Covers this. At the end of the hunt, if you want to leave the guys a tip, so be it. But it covers the skinning. You know what I mean? I think like that makes perfect sense to me. I don't understand why they're doing the breakdown, but I think they're doing it in the. If someone comes there and all of a sudden these oaks are asking for more than what they actually paid for. So like you'll go to a farm, you're supposed to, you guys know, often use your own vehicles. Now all of a
Yeah,
sudden they're hopping on the bakkie and getting the farmer's bakkie to go load the kudus and the staff and everything, but it wasn't added in on the day fee. I think that's why a couple of those oaks are doing that breakdown.
yeah, but like
Getting
you
on
said,
that one, the day fee is supposed to cover that. Why do you have a day fee? A day fee is your hunting day on the property. It's the staff, in my opinion, is retrieval. It includes the cool room. The cool room runs there regardless if a South African's hunting and internationals hunting because the farmer runs his cool room. And then on top of that, your skinner is your tracker that gets sent with you or staff that comes to collect. Yes, I understand if you're going to go and ape an animal or anything like that. If you shoot a representative of a trophy and you want a decent flat skin or you want a decent cape, you pay the tracker his fee for doing that. I think that's where I would say the farmers are trying to capitalize on it. And I think it's a big thing of like, we always
They're
make the
trying to
joke,
make
bums
money
in
on
beds
someone
make money.
else's back.
Yeah, bums in beds make money, I get it, and that's where a lot of these places are also doing it now. When they break it up like that, I don't know, my accommodation fee is only, I don't know, $500 for the night, for example. And then when you do your account at the end of the day, I don't know, but you had 2 springbok skinned, it's $150, and you had this caked off, and you had that, and it's kind of like you miss it. And then when you miss it, then all of a sudden you get whacked with an extra miles for no reason. So like Warren says, if they go and put it all in one category and say, listen, it's 1,000 Rand a day, that covers each ones, and feed yourself. And the guys, I think, would, when you see those price lists, you're happier. I mean, it's the same thing when it goes to the animal prices. Let's face it, in the South African world, we aren't shooting the trophies 9 times out of 10. So have your trophy price. But the big problem we have here is that our trophies in every different farm is different. Every representative is a different price. So you can shoot kudus in just outside Grahamstown, for example, and there'll be 3 different prices for the same size kudu. It's what the farmers valued his animal at the end of the day. So I mean, there are even some prices where I've seen before, I've had a look, I said, oh, maybe I should go there for different species or something like that. But then they charge me the international price, and they say, oh, but you're allowed to go with the meat. So getting back to what's a fair price for South Africans, is kg prices in general are the better prices for the South Africans. The farmers at the end of the day, those animals that the South Africans shoot, the farmers at the end of season anyway cull them out and sell them to the abattoirs for half the price. So, if a guy's going to cut out his springbuck or he's going to cut out him for the long trophies and the females that they generally do from August, September side, they're getting paid half of the, if you charge, say, 50 Rand a kilo or 45 Rand a kg, most hunters are happy with that, because what happens is if he doesn't shoot something too big, he's only paying the value of the carcass. Where even in that, if that farmer took that same carcass and he took it to the abattoir, you get half the price. So I always say the kg price is by far the safest. I've always looked at it as, you're looking at the kilo price. And if you're going to do a head price, make sure your head price is close to what your kg price is, And if someone makes a blups and he shoots something a little bit smaller, that's on him. But that's my 10 cents worth of if you're wanting South Africans to hunt, or you're trying to accommodate the South African. Most South Africans aren't shooting trophies. I like trying to collect a species, and I'm happy to pay for it. I mean, it would cost me 3 times the amount of what the actual carcass is worth, or the value of it. I've shot it for a trophy. So that's where I think a lot of it comes into play. When you start looking at it, I mean, some farmers just don't want South Africans. They've had too many bad experiences, and they're not interested in taking the gamble, and they only want to cater for Americans. That's fine. That's on them. But it's sometimes that I think the guys do need to have a look at a bigger picture. Because not all your game off your farm is going to be hunted by an American. Especially the stock ranches. I'm talking more the stock ranches where we hunt in our season. Where the proclamation says so many kudu per day, per person, so many this. And then obviously the farm obviously has the size to shoot X amount of a season. You might have an American come through, or 2 Americans come through and shoot. There's 10 kudu available on the farm, and the farmer wants to shoot 10, but he only has 2 taken by Americans. Who's going to take the rest off? So that's where I think where the farmer also should technically look after the South African to a certain degree, because he's still paying more than what he's going to do if he shoots it himself and takes it to the abattoir.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I've got a story. Warren will remember this. When we were hunting at Kieveston, and it changed from bulls at this price to all of a sudden bulls at this price, which everyone was doing. Look, we're using Kieveston and Lawton's Place as an example for most things, and he's probably one of the fairest in prices for South Africans, at the moment. And I've seen some crazy other prices, but I remember when I don't know if it was the second year we were there, there was a 40-inch mark. Kudu bull 40 inches and up became trophy price, and anything under 40 inches was meat bull price, and there was quite a price difference. And I took old Nicholas, Wayne was the PH, and he had to always take somebody with, and I got the privilege of taking Nick to shoot his first kudu. And I was on the radio to Ryan, who were hunting at Annex there, and I get over to the first kloof, and I start radioing Ryan. I'm like, Jesus, what size kudu must I shoot with this lighty? And I can't remember. Eventually we popped over, and there were 2 moose big kudu bulls. Those bulls are probably 48-inch bulls, meneers. And if I can remember, I don't know if Nicholas missed the bull. And then I jumped on the radio with Ryan. I said, yes, it's Ryan. Find out from Warren, just now thump a trophy with this lighty, and Warren's got to foot the bull for a trophy. Needless to say, we never got that bull in the morning, and we carried on hunting, and it was like, no, he wants a solid representative. The afternoon, Ryan takes Nicholas, and I get to do a bit of hunting in the afternoon, and Vrachi's a kudu bull comes out between us, and I miss the bull, and it runs over, and I don't know if Nick was aiming where he was aiming, but crumbs, he put a Hail Mary shot in there, and he says, Uncle Ryan, it's down, and it thumps it back between the head, running at about 280 meters away with a 270, and it was like, where were you aiming? He says, no, I was aiming there. So good on him, he shot straight. But this was a mature bull, and I took some awesome photos there, and everyone goes and says I photocrop my photos and make the bulls look bigger and everything. But he was a typical Eastern Cape bull in the open veld, fluck horns and lekker wide. He was an old bull. And we all stood there at the skinning set going, shit, is this going to go over 40 or is it under 40? And I think you were lucky. I think it was 39 and something. So you've got the bull mounted for him, because it's a beautiful bull. And he doesn't even make 40 inches. He's an old bull. And you got away with paying, meat price with that one. And, How do you find it now? The reason why I'm telling the story is when you go and hunt on a property and there's an inch price. What is it like for you guys going around hunting and actually seeing that kudu and having to decide, because there's no one with you, obviously, on these South African farms. You guiding yourself, and you might have a farmhand or a tracker with you. Well, they're not really trackers. They farmers.
You see this
Yeah.
thing?
Yes.
South Africans know this when you put on lips. When you pull the trigger, there's a 100% sure if it's trophy or hits the mark or not. And then you only smile and you take a measure out. You I always say to the guys, you must be willing to pull the trigger and you must be willing to pay top dollar, because also what we forget to tell is when we wound an animal and you don't retrieve it, it's trophy price. So it doesn't matter if you shoot, if it doesn't matter if you're shooting a meat bull and that meat bull gets away, you will pay trophy price for it. So I always say to the guys, when you come and hunt, and especially when they hunt with me, I always say, chaps, be prepared, make sure you've got enough money, because at the end of the day, accidents happen, mistakes do happen. We all human, you know. And I say to the guys, I don't want to have that situation or that conversation with the farmer. Go, shit, sorry, I'm short. Here's what I can make the difference when you, especially paying cash prices and stuff like that. So I always make the joke. I said, you'll bite lips the whole time until you get to that animal and you actually put a tape measure on it, because some of them get home shrinkage on the ground, others look 10 times bigger when you get close to them. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, Warren, do you think it's affected the way we hunt? You know, having that tape measure hanging over your head.
I think it's put us in a position where we become very selective. But like Ryan's saying, and I stand by him, you get the prices prior to leaving home before you go on this hunt. You accept to go on that hunt. You know what the trophy price is. Make sure you've got the funds in your pocket. Number one. Yes, we're not PHs, we're not outfitters. We haven't been for that training or courses on how to judge horns and all that sort of stuff. But now, over the years, I can say you probably learn to figure that one out. However, still, at the end of the day, it's like Ryan says, right? I use a perfect example. The last time now I was at Kiwiston. It was the last time I went with Ryan for a season, and I said, "No, bugger this. I'm going to shoot myself. I could have pulled this weekend." We were still driving up the road. I mean, Ryan, you were behind us, and I actually stopped and looked at two kudu bulls on the side of the road, not realizing that it's actually Lawton's car. So I got to the house. I said to Ryan, those two bulls were there, and Ryan says, "But quite about the game things." I said, "Yes." He says, "But that's Lawton's gun." I said, "Oh, okay, cheers. I know where I'm going. I already got my spot." So they sent me with one of the guys there, or Lawton's. I think it was one of Lawton's guys, I think, Ryan, or one of your guys, I'm not too sure. So he went with me, and we tracked these bulls. They weren't there when I got there. But we did some mileage on our 2x4s, and we eventually got to the one section, and I said to him, "So the two are there." Now I'm looking at the bodies, and I'm looking at the horns. Now I have the body, and I'm looking at the horns. The horns are wider. The other one's body is slightly smaller, but the horns are perfect figure eights. So I said to him, I said, "Which is the biggest one?" I said, "But I'm proud of." What he's cutting them at. And I still had time. We still had time to discuss this because I didn't know we were there. But I mean, I think it was a 300-meter shot. To be honest, I actually shot myself at the end of the day. But anyway, I just said, "Stuff it. This is it now. And I'm not walking any further after these things. It's now or never." So anyway, I need to pick it. And the ball fell. I don't know who was more shocked, me or Mzogolo. But anyway, he was jumping up and down. He said, "Oh, wheelie." I said, "Hey, that thing's going to get up." He says, "Never." He says, "Never." I said, "Okay, well, I'll put my trust in him." But anyway, we got there. And the bull was there. And it was once again under the required, the changing path length. So yeah, it was actually a good hunt all round, I must say.
Yeah,
But I
I
mean,
think some
you know, you get told you don't have a guide or anybody with you to pilot that only. And all the guys are saying, you got to judge it yourself. That's your, it's your choice if you want to pull it. So, yeah, make sure your pocket is ready for it.
No, definitely. I'm sure some South Africans now, with the way that these bloody measurements are going and stuff, are actually walking with tape measures, because they'll shoot the first pool, run up to it, measure it, and see how much budget they got left to carry on hunting. I could say, shit, I shot a trophy. Now I'm just going to go and drink beer around the fire. That's my whole weekend stuff, because I shot my whole financial budget out on one animal. And I think, yeah, it's making it a bit tricky. But I know someone in our...
we got getaway.
So you see, the way things are going is it's actually very different hunting to where long ago it was a kudu bull and you paid kudu bull price. There was a kudu cow, you paid kudu cow price. You know what I mean? It's very much become, you know, every cent counts. And like I say, we've got someone on the camera to us. If he puts his mind, he's going to shoot something and pay top dollar for it, he pays. And I remember going to Kimberley on one of our trips with the old man, and we'd obviously turned this into a regular occurrence. And we asked the farmer if there was if we'd seen this magnificent kudu bull flaring out horns and everything like that. And you must remember, I'm a guide. I'm supposed to be able to scut this stuff every day of the week. And I saw that bull and I misjudged him, like properly. Flaring wide bull. We're in the Northern Cape. The bulls are different to the bulls in the Eastern Cape. They're much wider. And Ryan goes and asks the farmer, and the farmer goes, well, if you want him, this is the price. And Ryan goes, well, I want him. I'm going to go find him this afternoon. And he could tell the rest of the story how that all panned out. But you get the guy, the South African guy, when he wants it and he puts his mind to it, they're quite happy to pay. But obviously when you're hunting for meat, you don't want to go and pay trophy price for meat. So Ryan, you could tell that story and what it all worked out to in the end.
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, it was back in like 2015. We actually, you had Alex on the podcast now the other day. He's moved to Spain. So he's fathering at the time that we went to. He was a farm manager then we got in. And it was quite a cool hunt. He was still old school, where when you talk about trophies, it was what we called rolling award. So those are quite, for like an Eastern Cape kudu will never measure 54.5 inches or whatever the case may be. So they didn't fall into those brackets. But anyway, getting into the hunting weekend, obviously we got there and we got set up, and it was, I always used to go with a big bang balance, I'd say, from the previous year. And it was me, the more I could come home with, the more I could pay for my trip. And it was always early in the season, so I'll never forget it. That specific trip, we had done a hunt months before, you and I in Talker. And I still said to you, we're going to cull. We're going to shoot a ton of meat, which is 1,000 kilos of meat. We've got to cut it up, process it, pack it, sell it, so that my freezer and cool room is empty by the time we hit our Northern Cape trip, which we generally also go up and shoot like 20 odd animals amongst three of us, because obviously the old man would be there and I'd process all the meat, and we'd each get some and then we'd sell the rest to cover the trip, obviously fuel expenses and stuff. So I mean, I was on the cards there. I was looking for, you can actually see the goofy French back in the back here. I was actually after that because I'd seen it the previous year, and obviously we'd spoken about kudus and we weren't on the list. And I still saw this bull, and it was the first afternoon we were there. So we got there mid-morning and we'd done our shooting range and stuff, and we'd gone for a drive. I think I shot such a nice impala, it was like 22 inches, and I think it had shot a black wildebeest or something. It was late afternoon and we'd seen this bull. I still picked up the van and found the farm manager and said, all the bulls on the list this year, I didn't really pay attention. What is the price? And then she said, it's trophy prices only. So if you're wanting, there's 2 on quota or 3 on quota, you guys are more than happy. And I think we were the first hunt of the season was in May, early May, like the 15th. So I think, no, definitely we're going to go and look for the bull. So we didn't find them the first day, and we went back the second day. And obviously it's part of the wraps, so they were busy. And we picked that bull up late afternoon. It must have been about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we also had a curfew time to cut off. And obviously sticking to rules is very important because we've got other trackers and guides with you, and the cut-off time was like 5 o'clock. And it was probably about 4:30 we found him, and we probably saw him about 500-600 meters. And we put the stalk on him. And I'll never forget, it's so flat there, and obviously thorn trees, and you're dodging in between and trying to get open gaps, and he was following a cow. And I think the time was about 4:45, and I threw the sticks out, and he must have been about 250 meters away. And he was pumped behind the can. I said to you, yeah, I must shoot this bull now. And you said, well, how do you feel? I said, no, I'm leaving him today. I miss him now, and I don't even try and shoot him again. And anyway, I got on the sticks, put the crosses behind his shoulder and work, and he went down. And it was like 10-5, it's like, it was like 10 minutes. And anyway, it was all excitement, and we took some awesome pictures. And yes, we like I said, I scutted him like 54 inches or whatever the case may be. Pulled the cable out because I'm not going to mess this one. Put the tape in it, 14 and the 8/16 or something stupid like that. Still an awesome bull, awesome memories, and I still put it on the wall. So I haven't hit the magical 50 yet. I'm sure plenty could use him. Hopefully do and shoot on one. That's for sure.
Yeah, you talk about 250 meters. We thought 250 meters, but when we started walking towards him, it was closer to 300 odd meters and 400 meters. That place is so bloody flat.
Yeah,
you walk kilometers before you get there, and you think it's only 100 meters away.
Yeah, well, that was one thing we also learned there, because we didn't hunt with rangefinders and things like that, because here in the Eastern Cape, you don't really need that stuff. Because you can kind of judge with the hills and stuff. But yeah, flipping the Golden Cape's a bit different with those little outcrops, and you're hunting game camps of 4,000-5,000 hectares, but you can literally look from one side to the other, and it doesn't look far. I think we pulled off some very long shots in that place, and I think the guys there are so used to it. I mean, springback look the size of a matchbox sometimes there, and you start thinking you can shoot them, and they're probably standing at 600 plus.
No, very, very true. That is some awesome memories, and we had some lekker jewels there. Warren, there was something else I wanted to ask you. You did a trip to Namibia, going fishing and stuff. How did you guys plan that? And explain to us. This is obviously our podcast is all about outdoors, and you're the avid fisherman. What was it like in Namibia going to go fish? Because that's one of Ryan and I's pipe dreams. We've been talking about it for years, and we just never ever, get together and do it.
Yeah, look, I wasn't part of the crew right in the beginning when they started it, planning for this whole thing, but John and I jumped on board there. Look, I can tell you it's a trip well worth doing, and it's a trip of a lifetime. You all put your money in the kitty. Ranok handles the funds. He does all the payments. It's all up to one guy. It saves this. He pays that, and then someone's short of this, So rather, if you're going to do it, get one person to handle the finance. I'd say that is key. And then also the grocery shopping. I mean, Ryan, you do it anyway with the hands. I mean, do the grocery shopping, and then he brings the slips or whatever that works out that much, and that's how much we pay. So the trip up there, it's a long drive. We drove right through. I think it took us 2.5 days from East London. I had to quickly rush, get my passport. I didn't even have a passport, so I had to go through all of that jazz, getting a passport. And then, before you leave, packing vehicles. I mean, the adrenaline, the thirst, and everything is there. Having 1 or 2 beers, and what it all becomes 3 or 4 beers, and then quickly back. We need to go to bed now. We're shooting at the X, Y, and Z, Yeah, but anyway, long trip, very scenic. 10 places that like I never saw in my life before. Getting across the border was sort of pretty cool. You got to be there at a certain time because they also got a cut off. And then once we got into Swakopmund and then into Renties, first stop there was to the municipality to go and get your fishing license. And the guys had me there a little bit. They already prepped the guy before to say that my paperwork wasn't up to scratch, so you can't give me a fishing license. I've got to turn around and go back to the border. I didn't want to call it my rev limiter, my murmita went from 0 to 100 straight away. And like I said to say, whoa, calm down now, because now I wanted to stop that. The fishing's about there, especially my mates. I mean, they were the first on the list and in the stats there, because I mean, shit, they should have told me. But I looked at the stuff and I thought, surely this can't be, you know. But eventually, the guy that was doing the fishing license and everything, he thought, hey, this guy, he's stressed now. He doesn't know what. I was starting to sweat there. I promise you. I also started misting up. I didn't know what to do. I had no words at the end of the day. But he came to me and said, "Sorry, sir. These guys put it up to him to bugger me around a little bit." Yes, but anyway, but it was all good. Needless to say, I had to pay fines and all that sort of shit that night, and and then it's a different type of angling there. Angling's angling, but there you can ride on the beaches. You know, you're on the beach 24/7. You know, you can walk anywhere. Besides, if you want to walk away from the van to go to that little hole over there down the beach 100 meters. You know, but a different thing too. The sun comes up from behind you, and it sets in front of you. Meanwhile, you got the ocean in front of you. You know. A lot of sunburn happened on the backside. You know, nothing sort of safe time or anything like that. You wake up the next morning and feel like behind your knees. I'm not so sore behind my knees, but to look in the mirror, you are red from the sunburn.
Like a good old ostrich on heat.
Look at it. It was something else, eh? They too. I mean, there's pictures when we stayed of lions walking on the beach. When we were there, there was jackals running in between us. I mean, you don't see that anywhere else.
It's still wild.
I also thought I stopped the seal because I thought he was actually dead, lying on the beach. A big seal too, big male. Yeah, I think I got within 5 meters of him, and he woke up there. Listen, I don't know who got more of a fright, the seal or me, but I turned and I tailed it. I just kept on looking behind me. Was this not getting on behind me, or is he going to sea? Well, my lucky actually turned and went to the sea. So, that is also quite a good thing. But plenty cob, plenty saloon. I never got the opportunity of catching a steenie, what they call them there. We tried, but it just didn't happen. And those places there, you can also get rid of your fish there. Unlike this side of town, you're not allowed to be selling your fish here unless you got a commercial license and all that, to sell one. But there you can. And they set on Falun, eh? Rather than the cob. You know, it's like a delicacy there in their restaurants. Cub and grub type of places. I don't really have that restaurant effect. But, First time I've ever seen somebody raking the sand outside his yard.
Raking the
It's just sand. And raking them big patterns in the sand. And that's their forte there. So, no mowers, guys. Just a plastic one.
No, that's a different experience altogether, and I'm sure one day, Ryan will get himself there, and I'll get myself there. I'm not the avid fisherman like the two of you. If we go and hunt there, I'm definitely first in line for that. But it's interesting. We're just chatting now, like obviously with the differences between the South Africans and the internationals, and the South Africans. You guys also, when we talk accommodation for you guys to go and hunt on these stock farms that we're hunting in season. There's no, fabulous lush 5-star accommodation. It's often a farmer's shed or you actually in tents, always in the house, always got a couple of rondavels over there that is cleaned out for you oaks to stay in, and then you take all your own supplies, and turn it into a full-on, camping weekend with the international guys and stuff. If you lucky and go and hunt in one of these big game ranches with lodges and stuff like that, obviously those oaks are way more high end. When they even charge the South Africans, we're paying top dollar to be in those lodges. What would your guys? I'll start with Puri. Would you want to go and do a 5-star lekker sleep, wake up, have your bed made, and eat food, and then go hunt in a like a game farm area, or call it a reserve, that you see lots of game and hunt like that on a guided thing? Or are you still more keen on the idea of doing the rough it style, get it out there and hunt yourself without having a guide telling you what to shoot?
Well, put it this way: the group that we hunt with, the groups that we've set up, whether it be with Ryan on his hunt or on my hunt, being with that group of guys is much better for me than wanting to go hunt in a lodge by myself being guarded. Although, yes, maybe one day, if the pocket fits it, I would maybe try and spoil myself and my family to do a family type of thing like that. But as it is at the moment, being with a group like Ryan and being with a group like I've got, the serious, you can let your hair down, put it that way. Sometimes the hair gets let down a bit too far, but you like catching coelacanths in the Kunab River, you know what I mean? So, whereas in a lodge of that sort, you got to be like sort of behave yourself and lights out at the X, Y, and Z, But us, I mean, there's, okay, maybe on Ryan's hunt, yes, there's lights out, and he makes sure, chaps really get a bed now. But, actually, the Kunab guy, my owner himself, he needs to check his cock. I told him today he needs to maybe get a new timing belt or something, because I don't know if he's scared to go and sleep, or he's going to miss out on something, or what. But I tell you what, you keep going until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and you got to get up at 5. To go out to jingle. That's typical, Paul.
I think that farmer's bloody lonely, and when you buggers come, it's shit. I haven't seen people in months. Now I'm having my turn to enjoy life and stuff like that. Definitely. And Ryan, we've hunted all over the place. You and I. What is your preferred? Tomorrow, if you had 2 on the table, what would you do?
No, look, obviously, I think species would play a part there for me. I suppose because I've grown up hunting and under the species, and I know what's big and what's small. Me, self-guided personally is more a challenge. It's more personal for me. For me, a place that's worthwhile staying in, it's got hot water and it's got a blanket on the bed, basically. Because I mean, generally, those are most of the places that we have. I need to have a shower after every hunt. I get down and dirty. I carry own animals. I cut. I do everything. I mean, I'm not one guy that will step back and let the truckers do it. Because at the end of the day, it's a long day. It's a hard day. I think if you were to bring a tracker on that's hunted with me in the past onto your podcast and actually ask him a few questions and what it's like to hunt with Roundel, he'll tell you it's the hardest work he's ever done. Because we just get stuck in and we help and we work hard, and it's always late hours. I mean, you do it with entertainment for the outfitters and stuff. And obviously for your fans, they don't see the behind the scenes, what actually goes on. So for me, like I said, it's simple. Keep it simple. I've got running water. Basically a mattress on the floor is the best at the end of the day, because you fall over where you want to sleep. But yeah, like I said, fancies are good. I think like Warren said, if you're going to do like a family hunt, or you taking wives and kids with and stuff like that, because look, the hunting we do generally, I call them the boys' weekends. It's our getaway. it's our passion, it's our hobby, it's our sport, that kind of thing. And for me, it's something that puts food on my table, and also it creates a revenue for me to do what I enjoy. So yeah, if I'm gonna do it with kids and wife and stuff like that, it does put a bit of a handbrake on, because you're always wondering, what are they doing? Are they entertained well? So if you're gonna do it with family or whatever, go to the upmarket places, because where they offer stuff for your wives to go to a spa, or for your kids to do a day trip wherever. But you see, we're not foreigners. So, I mean, we know the country, and we know what we're getting into. So that's why I say, for me, it's Rafford. I like I think they've missed it along the way, especially bringing the Americans out, or the foreigners out. We always say Americans, because generally Americans are the main hunters that come out here, the avid hunters. But I think they've missed the ball game with the 5-star lodging and stuff. I suppose it's nice for the guys, because for money for value, it's good for them to have the fancies. But I think, I think some of the hunting passion, or the great outdoors, is must stay in those 5-star establishments, in my opinion.
No, I fully agree with you there, because if I look at the guys that are coming out to hunt in South Africa, I think the biggest thing where the 5-star has the appeal, it's because the world has got so busy, and the oaks that are coming out are the big businessmen that only can be away from their work for a short space of time. So hence the reason, if they come out with their wives, they've got the accommodation, and that's where it became fancy. But there are the blue-collared, run-of-the-mill guys like the rest of us in America who'd love to come and hunt in South Africa, and they seem to think it's too expensive for them, and it actually isn't. They can save and come out, and there are the outfitters like myself who are willing to offer those types of hunts. I just chatted to, when I was chatting on a podcast, that my buddy Dylan, what I spoke about as an outfitter, my accommodation and stuff isn't fancy. We've had them here in this cabin of yours, Ryan, and the guys have thoroughly enjoyed it. But if you work out what it costs me, to work a day rate out, my day rate is still the same as what another big company's day rate is, where they're living in a 4-star, 5-star lodge. And now if you've got guys looking, oh, well, so-and-so's day rate's $500 over here, and this oak's $500 on this side, but he's got 4-star lodging, it's very difficult for me to compete, because then they'll go, okay, we're coming for 10 days or whatever, let's go pamper ourselves. But I do think, like you say, they've missed the ball. There are some hardcore hunters out there that are willing to pay the big money and go and live in a stone hut. We all watch the fishing and hunting channels when we get a chance. We watch YouTube, and those oaks that are paying for, shooting ibexes and markers and, all these bloody expensive animals up in those mountains in Afghanistan and Tajikistan and stuff like that. Oaks live in a stone hut, carry all their own food and care, and they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, I think the industry, I think if we're going to try and correct it in like a small little picture of trying to say, let's correct it and make it fair for the South African oak who earns rands, and make it fair for the American guy as well. If you've got an outfit who's doing the fancy lodging, they should be more upmarket. I think those outfitters are actually charging too little, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, I haven't got the lodge, but I'm offering the same hunting service. So similar hunting terrain, got the same quality trackers, got the same, hunting quality species, but their accommodation and establishment is that level. They actually should charge more for that's just in my opinion. But like I say, this has been a hell of an interesting conversation with the two of you, and I think it's great perspective from a South African side, and guys can see how the industry has changed, and it's got really difficult for the avid hunter, South African hunter, to afford to hunt here. And hopefully somewhere along the line people can see that, and we can get back to slight normality. So let's wind this up we over an hour already, boys, and I'm sure some of you folks need your nap time before work tomorrow. What are your 2025 hunting? What hunts have you guys got lined up?
Yeah, well, it's the normal run of the mill for myself and Ryan. I would say, the my 3 or 2 hunts that I've got on my Kunap hunt. Everyone's invited me on Lawton Kiwi hunts. I mean, it's just a given by the looks of things. Now the 2 of us we hunt together. We a group, put it that way. And then our other brother-in-law also is now chipped in, and he's now organized a hunter too, which is going to be added in the mix. So yeah, it looks like hunting season's going to be full.
That's nice.
And start earlier. I think Warren's going to miss the first one, but we're hunting from the last weekend in March. So we're going to hit the rats of the Felidae rat. So that's what we're going to target on that first hunt. Stavstrom of all places. So never been there before. New hunting ground, new things to see. So we're gonna start with that one. Unfortunately, Warren's got to work that weekend, so he can't make that one. And then like I said, Warren's always try and join Warren on his first kudu hunt of the season, which is the first weekend or June or last weekend of May. So we generally do that one. It's still old school driven hunt. So that is one that I enjoy going on because that's how we grew up hunting. And then we do we fill in between. So I have Key Western is one of my places that I go, and we generally go there for the warthog. We shoot a lot of warthogs there, trying to perform it as best we can, and then obviously shoot the kudu if we need it. And then that's basically the season. Probably do about 5 or 6 hunts, weekends hunting. 2-day trips.
You're a bloody liar. You've forgotten about our springbuck hunt where we're all going to be. If you booked it or forgotten to book it.
No, I booked it. So that's a new one on the cards. It was our first time last year, and that's good fun. Also old school driven hunt. A group of 8 guys, and generally we've got to shoot a minimum of 50 springbuck. And it sounds a lot, but we learned that you could shoot the 50 in one day. So it's then we generally there for 2 days. And it's
awesome. It's awesome. Yokes are busy for the season, and hopefully we'll get you guys back on the podcast. Maybe we do one at the end of season and see who shot what and who got stuffed and what mistakes the Oaks made on one of the hunts. But guys, thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm sure everyone else is going to enjoy it. And let's get together for another one soon. So cheers, boys.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks very much, bud.
Cheers, man. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, Matt.